Welcome back to On Texas Football's Wednesday night Longhorn Livestream. I'm your host, Amanda Atwell, joined by CJ Vogel and Jeff Howe. It is A&M Hate Week. Most exciting, well, maybe not most exciting rivalry. I can't even say that. Rivalry.
Oh.
When I try to say Red River Rivalry, it always ends up like Wed Wivel Rivalry. So we're just going to skip past that.
No, we're not going to say. Come on.
Remix.
Okay, we only have 29 people watching right now. Not many people saw that.
Oh, that was funny.
Anyways,
Play the intro again, Matthew. Let's start this one over.
Welcome back to On Texas. And just kidding, guys. But anyways, big week ahead for the Longhorns. Last home game of the season. Super exciting. Facing the undefeated Texas A&M Aggies. Who thought we would be here at this point with going into this game with A&M 11-0? I know I sure did not. So I'm sure there will be some clips pulled for me from my podcast this summer of my Aggie expectations versus how it has actually turned out.
Yeah, but you're not alone in that, Amanda. Like we all did, because what does Texas A&M do every November? Like it's the Aggie roller coaster illustration from years ago. Like it's 100% true, and they haven't earned the benefit of the doubt yet for us to not believe that. Guess what? Even if they do end up making a deep run in the playoff, we'll still be saying the same thing again because, hey, you did it once. Okay, maybe it's a fluke. Let's see if he can go do it again. So yeah, don't feel bad.
This is a little gotcha from A&M here, Amanda, because I'm sure you've got all those bookmarks loaded up and ready to roll anytime.
I'm going to be doing a really sad deleting session of the bookmarks this year, I think. Unless I have done some recently that might come through to next season even. You just got to think 2 steps ahead. But I do have one on you still that I brought up earlier that said you thought that, what was it? I think that OU was going to be a tougher game for Texas than A&M. Yep. Which has not turned out. I mean, OU's looking much better than they did, what we thought they might look like after Texas played them. But I don't think, I don't know what you think. I don't think it's going to be, I think it's going to be a little taller of a task tomorrow than it was for OU.
We'll see. We'll see. You know, Texas could surprise us. They could hold A&M to without a touchdown as well. But, yeah, I think that take has a little bit of an asterisk on it, right? You know, of course, did I plan on Oklahoma's quarterback having hand surgery 17 days before that game? No.
He's still a little bit bitter about Mateer not playing to his full abilities when Texas played them. There you go. Dang. Matthew had that ready.
I do. Hey, I was right in the schedule difficulty in schedule, so.
Yeah, I mean, they also had a big NIL transfer dud in their running back, who is Jaden Ott, who has just not done anything for them this season. So that's probably a factor there in your assumptions on how good OU would be this season.
Yeah, me too.
OU has a national championship worthy defense. Like their defensively, they're legit. Dude, offensively, it's rough. Even, you know, it's not even a thumb issue with Mateer at this point. I just think Oklahoma's just straight up just not good on offense. Period.
Yeah, correct. Yeah, they can't run the football as we talked about. The quarterback's been very errant. The RPOs haven't been – the easy gimmies are anything but easy with that offense. So you're absolutely right. Defense is fantastic, but offense, very bad.
It really reminds me of like OU had a team like this with Bob Stoops. He had a couple of these teams actually in 2001, even when they still had Quentin Griffin. Like they were lights out on defense. I mean, that's Tommy Harris as a freshman, Rocky Kalmus, Roy Williams, Teddy Lehman. It's some of the best defensive players in the history of that program on that defense. But they couldn't run the ball. They couldn't throw it. Jason White got hurt, and you had Nate Hibble, who was incredibly mediocre as a college quarterback, and like they won a lot of games. They won. CJ, if you get a chance, if you want to go down a rabbit hole, Google so that'd be the 2003 Cotton Bowl between Arkansas and Oklahoma. First off, if I could have rooted for like Afghanistan, I would have, because it's OU and Arkansas. I want either one to win. But that game set offensive football back almost to the single wing era. Like it was that bad.
Are we talking Cal TCU Cheez-It Bowl bad, Jeff, or worse?
Worse than that. Worse than that. Yeah, because you had an OU team that couldn't move the ball and a young Matt Jones trying to move it for Arkansas. It was about as awful as you can imagine a bowl game being. And I said that's not even like the Cheez-It Bowl. You can excuse it because it was like two pretty mid teams, like 6-6-ish teams. Like OU was good enough to compete for a national championship that year, and Arkansas I think was like an 8-win team. It was horrible.
All right, we'll get into some of the injury report, little injury report update today, but not really much of an update. Looks the same as it did yesterday. Anthony Hill still questionable, and then over on the A&M side, you still have Le'Veon Moss, I believe, is doubtful. Let me pull that back up. Le'Veon Moss is doubtful. Scooby Williams is doubtful. And then obviously out first half, Ty Anthony Smith. So, yeah, unfortunately, that is the case there. As far as Anthony Hill goes, how do we feel about him still being questionable? Would you think he would have been upgraded at this point? Is Sark going to just hold out to the last minute?
No, we've seen with Sark, anything injury related probably doesn't get, update, a positive or negative until the day before the game. I've not been super optimistic about Anthony Hill's inclusion this weekend, or I guess Friday night, as this week has progressed. Like, we'll see, obviously. This game should mean a lot to Anthony Hill. It means a lot to Texas, means a lot to A&M. Guys that are questionable more times than not in these big rivalry games lean towards probable for me. But I've not heard fantastic returns this week on what his usage would be should he go on Friday night.
I mean, let's face it. This is probably going to be Anthony Hill's last game as a Longhorn. I mean, if we're being serious, I would hope it's not the Georgia game, even though he played tremendous against Georgia. I would hope he gets another crack at it because honestly, I mean, a 9-3 Texas that doesn't make the playoff. What? Maybe he would want to play a bowl game. I don't know, but Anthony Hill at that point, if he's headed to the NFL, would have zero incentive to play a bowl game.
Yeah, that's true. All right, if y'all have any questions, make sure and get them in. Super chats will jump to the top of our list, but some good news for Texas, another recruiting flip. Linebacker Rocky Cummings flips, what was it, from Stanford? Where was
California.
He from? California. Excuse me. Was Stanford flip a couple days ago?
Yes, that is correct. Texas taking care of they're putting Minnesota out of business and taking care of the West Coast as well. So happy holidays, folks. In both states there, but no, big time. Well, rankings wise, not a big time get, but you see him in person, you watch some of the tape, and you say, okay, I understand why Texas wanted to make Rocky Cummings an addition to this 2026 class. And Jerry Hamilton and I were outside of Moncrief on Saturday whenever Texas and some of their official visitors strolled in, and we saw an SUV pull up with Rocky Cummings and his family. And as he came back out of the car, I sat there and I looked at Jerry and I was like, I know he was listed at 6'4", 220, but is that what you expected when you saw him? I think we both kind of came away in agreement saying, whoa, he looked much bigger in person than I anticipated. And to have, in 2 years or so, 3 years perhaps, alongside Tyler Atkinson in the middle of your defense, there's two big-time, lengthy, long, speedy linebackers that will absolutely be ready to rock and roll in the middle of an SEC caliber defense. And I'm very excited for what Texas will utilize Rocky Cummings as. But you see the tape, he's instinctive, he's long, he's athletic. You see him on offense, he's a guy that they hand the ball to. They use him as a tight end. Very similar to that of Charlie Gillick, the tight end that Texas got committed out of Michigan earlier. Hey, that was a guy that was committed as a linebacker that they plan on using as a tight end. Texas going for size, speed, and physicality. I like this take quite a bit now. Yeah,
you talk about the length, CJ, and that's the one thing I can say about this linebacker class. I'll throw Kosi Okpala in there, even though he could end up being an edge guy with Tyler Atkinson and now Rocky Cummings. Like, go look at the kind of guys Georgia has been recruiting, that Kirby Smart recruits, right? A lot of length, can range, can cover a lot. So that's the name of the game right now. I mean, you want to try to eliminate passing windows. You make a zone run game a lot harder. I just like the Texas is recruiting those tools at linebacker. Man, off-ball linebacker really for about the last maybe 10 or so years has been a position that for a lot of programs as the game has evolved, has been really hard to recruit to. And, I go back to it, and some of these guys didn't pan out in the NFL, but like I go back to the 2020 draft and, right around in there, kind of the early 2020s, early part of this decade in the Big 12, he had Kenneth Murray at OU, who was a high school safety. Jordan Brooks was a track guy. Malcolm Rodriguez was a high school wrestler. Terrell Bernard was an undersized linebacker. By the way, Terrell Bernard is actually committed to Tom Herman at Houston, and he was one of the few Houston guys who they didn't bring to Texas, but that's a discussion for another day. But like, it was kind of like you're trying to find kind of this, you're almost going like the island of misfit toys, and it's like, hey, we'll just find these tools and like make guys linebackers, because that's what the high school game was given to you. I think now that high school football is so spread oriented, guys are able to develop as linebackers at the high school level. It's much easier now to identify off-ball linebackers and get what you need at the high school level, rather than, hey, let's just take this project type guy and hope he turns into something, or taking like an old school linebacker where a year or two down the road, he may not fit your defense.
Yeah, it's really interesting also trying to pinpoint how Texas will utilize the 3 tight ends or 3 linebackers in this class, right? And maybe this will be a bit of more of a signing day article now that we've had 4 years, or I guess this is 5 years fully of Sarkisian's players in this era at Texas. But for a guy like Kosi Okpala, I kind of envision a Brad Spence role. A guy off the edge, lengthier guy. You can drop him into coverage and not feel like you're sacrificing piece of that pass defense. I do look at Tyler Atkinson more as a DeMarvion Overshown than an Anthony Hill.
Yeah.
Again, a lengthier guy that's going to be in the middle of your field that can go sideline to sideline. Now, Rocky Cummings is an interesting one because you don't necessarily see 6'4" with the compactness of an Anthony Hill as you do with a DeMarvion Overshown. And that's kind of where I went that way with Tyler Atkinson. Not to say that he won't be a guy that Texas utilizes off the edge, but for Rocky Cummings, I think he's a little bit more compact, a little bit more built up to start, meaning I do think Texas could throw him off the edge or up the middle in a similar role as Anthony Hill. Not to say he's going to be an Anthony Hill level player, because that's a tough thing to replicate. But the way in which Texas utilizes him, I think, would be very similar to those 3 roles. And I don't know, Jeff, maybe when we make a video, something like that as signing day nears in the next 2 weeks.
It's weird, like, DeMarvion Overshown, you think about him, like, was just a freak athlete in high school, recruited as a safety. And, now he's kind of the prototype of what you would look for in a current day off-ball linebacker, with the length and the ability to cover space. And he's got the ball skills because he played defensive back, but he's also got the physicality because we know he's a physical player. He can play toward the line. Like, honestly, like, I know it's way easier said than done. Hey, just go recruit a bunch of DeMarvion Overshowns, but like, he's exactly what you're looking for in a current day off-ball linebacker.
All right. Thank you so much, guys. Let's go ahead and hear from our friends at South Point. Then we'll get into some more of this A&M game coming up.
Hey, Texas football fans, score an easy extra point this season when you get to the point at South Point Dodge. South Point Dodge has over 600 vehicles in stock, including the all-new 2025 Ram 1500. Get the real deal today and drive away in an all-new Ram that's proven to last. Plus, you can get employee incentive pricing. That's right. You pay what their employees pay. That is a real deal. So score big today at South Point Dodge. Go see them off I-35 in South Austin or at southpointdodge.com. Get to the point at South Point Dodge. Now, the Texas A&M game coming up on Friday. Let's hear from a couple of lifetime Longhorns along with our friends from Advanced Pain Care.
Pros know the pain stops here.
Physical therapy helps me as an athlete then and now. And do I still need therapy? Yes. And Advanced Pain Care helps with that.
Injuries will stack up. They'll add up. You can't let those injuries get you down, and Advanced Pain Care has been very helpful for me.
We can help with whatever's got you down, from nerve damage to our spinal cord stimulator. Pain is inevitable. Suffering is optional. Same-day appointments available.
Advanced Pain Care. The pain stops here.
And if you need help getting to the game on Friday, Von Lane might be able to help you out. This fall, travel is picking up. Weekend getaways, business trips, and holiday visits are on everyone's schedule. But for Longhorn fans, there's one destination that stands out, Austin. Whether you're headed to town for the last big home games or to see family for the holidays, Von Lane is the smartest way to get there. Step aboard and skip the stress of the airport and the grind of the highway with terminals just minutes from your final destination. Von Lane redefines comfort and convenience. Each luxury coach offers only 22 first-class seats with with Wi-Fi, snacks, beverages, hot towel service, and on select routes, complimentary meal service, all delivered with unmatched attention to detail. You'll arrive relaxed, refreshed, and ready for kickoff or ready for family time. Book now at vonline.com and save $20 on your first trip with code OTF25. Vonline, elevated regional travel, serving Austin, Dallas, Houston, San Antonio, Fort Worth, Plano, the Woodlands, Nashville, Memphis, Atlanta, and Knoxville. Got a lot of options there.
Hey, Amanda, can I address something real quick? It's Rocky Cummings related. I just want to hit it before we move on. Living rent free in UT said, not to be Debbie Downer, but Cummings' best offer was Utah. No SEC teams offered him. True, but he was committed to Cal. And again, I look at head coaches where their specialty is. If Justin Wilcox, who's no longer the head coach at Cal, if he signs off on a linebacker offer, that tells me you probably need to go take a closer look. And if Utah is his best offer, there are very few coaches in the country who evaluate defensive prospects as well as Kyle Whittingham and Morgan Scaley. So if he's got Cal and Utah offers, that tells me he's at the very least worth kicking the tires on.
If I remember correctly, there was a Texas linebacker that ended up being pretty good about 3 years ago who was committed to Utah and ended up being the lowest rated Longhorn commit in the class. That was Jalen Ford. So they know a thing or two about linebackers, and I would say Texas certainly does as well. So I'm all for it, Jeff, as well.
Definitely. All right, CJ, you posted a pretty good article today just kind of showing the numbers comparison from A&M to Texas this year. And I just kind of wanted to know what stood out to you when you were looking at these of just what Texas will be facing on Friday.
Yeah, I think a large part of it is, one, there's not a lot of turnover from creation from Texas A&M. You know, that's part of it. It's a very similar approach to this game that I think Texas needs to take to the Oklahoma game, right? It's a great front seven. You're probably not going to be able to run the ball effectively, knowing that you haven't been able to do it all this season. Taking away the football is going to be imperative. Protecting the football is going to be even more important, especially against an offense that can actually function a little bit more than Oklahoma's. But staying ahead of the chains here is so crucial for Texas offensively. Texas A&M right now, the best third down defense in the entire country at 22% allowed conversions. It's fantastic. So if Texas lives in that third and long, man, it's going to be a long night in my opinion. But I do think that there's some value in this, right? If Texas is able to force A&M out of that early down running ability, well, there you go. You want Marcel Reed to drop back into typical pockets. You don't want him to roll out or kind of use those bootlegs and waggles to get out on the edge to then utilize his legs. He's a much different passer after or when not using the play action pass, right? He's 16 touchdowns, 1 interception, 74% completion. I've used these stats all week basically, but it's complete opposite when he has a clean pocket and he's throwing from within it. His reads aren't great. He's late over the middle. There's reason to think that Texas, much like when they played Jalen Milroe, could jump some early routes. And I think that's the, kind of the avenue to beat Texas A&M is, it's probably not advisable to sit there and say you got to play press man against Mario Craver and Casey Concepcion. But if you start out plays with a very narrow window to make the for quarterbacks to make the throw, well, then there you go. You at least allow your pass rush the opportunity to make hay and get to the quarterback without much separation to be created. And that's going to be really interesting because Jeff, Amanda, I don't know. I'm not to the point where I say, hey, Texas has the horses in the stable to go man-to-man with A&M, but we did see it a little bit from Auburn. We did see it a little bit from South Carolina, two defenses with great defensive lines and pass rushes, and that early on at least forced the hand of Texas A&M to say, hey, we're going to have to make these tight window throws, and Marcel Reed, you're going to have to be accurate if we want to move the football. He was not in the first half against South Carolina and not in the entire game against Auburn.
Yeah, the my thing with Marcel Reed is, and the streams we've done, and even everything.texasfootball.com, it's like, hey, get pressure on him, or got to hem him in, can't let him escape, got to watch Reed. True, but to your point, CJ, on the reason why there's such a disparity between his play action passing numbers and his numbers without a play fake. When you turn it into a drop back game, things get infinitely tougher for a quarterback. When it's like there is no threat of the play action pass, that means it's either third and long or you're behind and it doesn't, like, your RPO game is kind of useless at that point. Like, you've got to just start throwing the football. That's what Texas has to do. And above all else, we talk about a lot about the pass, and there's been a lot of questions in the chat tonight about the pass defense. My thing is, you've got to earn the right to rush the passer. You have got to take care of stopping the run first and foremost, because that's one of the reasons why you had a really, really hard time getting back into the game against Arkansas defensively, because they gashed you with the run early on. Again, even if Le'Veon Moss doesn't play, they'll have a healthy Reuben Owens. If I'm Colin Klein, based on what Taylor Green did, and I run Marcel Reed on some design runs. Like, I pull that stuff out just to see, especially if Texas doesn't have Anthony Hill, or even if he does play, we know he's not going to be 100%. Hey, make them prove they can stop it. So the Texas defense, to me, first and foremost, I know it's cliche, but man, if you do not take care of stopping the run, and they're able to have the RPO or the illusion of play action the entire game, it's going to be a really, really long night.
Yeah, you got to take away something.
What do y'all think about this? This will be the most talented defense Reed has seen this season. Thank you for your super chat, guy Q4E.
Yeah, talented, maybe. The most cohesive and well-playing unit. I can't say that now. Maybe in the middle of the season, I would be able to say that. Like, if this game was replaced with the Oklahoma game, I think I'd have no hesitancy saying that for the duration of the A&M season. But again, based off of what I'm seeing on the Texas defense today and over the last 4 weeks, Jeff, I can't confidently say it's the best unit that he'll face.
No, probably Missouri. I mean, for being honest, Auburn's really good defensively. Their offense has been terrible. You know, Notre Dame defensively is much better now than they were early in the year, because, I mean, we saw it here in 2020. Chris Ash's defense, it does take you a little bit to figure out what's going on, but if you got the pieces and you figure it out, you can become a pretty productive defense, which is where Notre Dame is now. LSU talent-wise is you can go up and down both rosters and see, hey, is LSU just as talented as Texas? Texas probably gets the edge, just off the top of my head, but it's debatable. But as far as like just a complete defense, I'd say probably either Missouri or Auburn.
Yeah, I mean, if Texas strung together 4 quarters like they did in the OU game, or like the first 3 quarters against Vanderbilt, I feel like have a little bit more confidence that you could say it is the best defense A&M has played this season.
Well, that's even the case. If Texas gives you 3 quarters like they did Georgia, hey, playing at home should give you a little bit of a buffer, right? You know, if they're able to do exactly that, well, there's your opportunity to get a lead, extend the lead, and sit on a lead, right? Texas didn't have the luxury playing in Athens against that Georgia defense. That's not what they should face on Friday, right? Now, A&M has a good defense. They got some guys. It's not Georgia. It's not playing in Georgia. Texas at home has been better cohesively on that offensive line as well. So if you can get that out of your defense, that would be fantastic.
Yeah. That being said, another super chat from Guy Q4E. Fellow Horns, it's time for us to be participants in the game. No sitting and watching. Let's get loud and make it tough on the Aggies. I second this. I don't know if it was just the nature of the game last weekend, but it didn't feel like that threatening of an environment from where I was sitting. I don't know if it was just the section I was in, because I've sat in a lot of different sections and some have been better than others, but I don't think that's going to be an issue this week. I feel like it should be similar to the environment you saw when Texas hosted Alabama. At least I would hope.
Yeah. Georgia last year. I still think it's part of the thing. It's like, this will be bad. Who cares about Arkansas? You know,
nobody anymore. No young people care about Arkansas. I'm so sorry if you're of the age where you really hate Arkansas.
And that's my point. You know,
I only understand the rivalry because half of my family is from Arkansas. That is the only reason I understand the rivalry and have grown up with it. Right. But otherwise, none of my friends care.
None of my friends care. I don't care about Arkansas the way that, you know, a lot of, you know, the older generation does. My, you know, Texas family isn't necessarily of the older side anyways, so you know they don't sit back and tell me why I should hate Arkansas so much. So that's why I think a lot of folks, you know, our age, Amanda, Jeff, probably your age as well, to a little extent, right? It just doesn't hit, you know, and that's why it's always unfortunate that playing Arkansas, playing Texas Tech, those schools, they'll never be viewed as an Oklahoma or an A&M by Texas fans, or even a Georgia, right, or an Alabama. They'll get up for those games because it's fun punching up. It's not fun punching down, and that's exactly where Arkansas and Texas Tech kind of fall in for me.
Yeah, I feel like they would have to be better as well. If Arkansas was a little bit better these last couple years, it might be a little bit different of an energy. I mean, from my friends that when Texas went to Arkansas last year, it was a pretty hype environment. And yeah, I'm sure if any Arkansas fans see this, they'll love this. But
I mean, think about it like this: like, is anybody going to not go to Texas OU on a given year if OU is terrible? No. So yeah, and Texas
also might be cheaper. You might not have to pay rent for your tickets. So
exactly, you might be even more inclined to go if OU is terrible. But I think Texas A&M is the same. I mean, look, A&M hadn't been to Austin since 2010, so it's been a long time since the Aggies have been in town. And you think they're probably going to travel a little bit, and Longhorn fans have been waiting for this game too. I'm so glad this game is back because CJ, I forget, maybe it was a live stream that night. I don't know. We do a lot of shows that runs together sometimes, but I was talking about the first year that the game stopped in 2012 was TCU's first year in the Big 12. And I was one of the idiots that all offseason like, oh, it's not going to make a difference. Like they'll keep it competitive, or you bring Tech in or whatever. Yeah, TCU was the Thanksgiving night game in 2012, and I just remember being in the press box looking around like the students weren't there, and it's 3/4 full at kickoff. I'm like, dude, this sucks.
Yeah.
Like there's just no juice in the building, and same thing whether it was Tech or whoever. So yeah, I'm glad this game is back. I think the Texas fans will react accordingly.
Well, even to your point, Jeff, I remember making the trip when I was in school back, Saturdays for the Tech games. And, you'd have some pretty bad weather and you'd look around and you'd be like, hey, it's full-ish. And that's, the unfortunate part of losing this game for years is you didn't get that one major home environment like you would in A&M or in Oklahoma or in Alabama or Georgia, right? And you can try all you want to make it TCU or Texas Tech, but as I mentioned, it's not fun to punch down and call it a rival. You want a team that's on equal footing. You want a team that's, competing for the same recruits or competing nationally for championships. And you get that back with A&M, right? 2 years in a row. This game's been back, and 2 years in a row, it's had college football playoff implications.
Do not let Tech fans see this. It will.
That's fine.
I mean, yeah, and to that point, when I was in college, same situation, the student section would be kind of empty for a lot of these games also it was the nature of the Texas program at the time under Charlie Strong, but I didn't really realize Tech considered us a rival until I moved to the Panhandle and told people that I went to Texas, and they immediately just scoffed and were disgusted with me. And immediately I dropped down in their viewpoint a couple notches. So that's when I realized that Tech considers us a rival. And I mean, I even told a friend up there, I was like, honestly, we just don't really care. And he was like, well, that's really depressing for me because we consider you our biggest rival. And I was like, well, I'm so sorry. We have this team called OU in the conference that is our biggest rival. That is a game we look forward to, whether we're bad or good or whatever it is. So yeah,
this might sound asinine, but I really believe it. If you look at all the Big 12 schools that Texas left behind to play, I think the majority of Texas fans probably feel more passionate or strongly about playing Baylor than they do any of the other ones, because I think there's just more history there. It's really weird. I probably, other than families where they're Texas grads and A&M grads, I know tons of families where one mom's side of the family went to Texas, or dad's side of the family went to Baylor, or the parents went to Texas, but the kids went to Baylor. There's just a lot more history there. So yeah, to your point, Amanda, I think Texas fans, I think Tech, TCU, U of H, I think they're all behind Baylor just in terms of how, if you ask Texas fans hey, who would you rather play? Who do you have more vitriol towards? I think they'd probably say Baylor.
Yeah. Tori, you're absolutely right up here as well. TCU did own Texas quite a bit. And Jeff, to your point, everybody knows someone from Baylor because you've probably gone to 3 or 4 Baylor weddings, kids from Baylor, by the time you're 23. By the time you graduate, you've already gone to your first couple of weddings because they always include kids from Baylor getting married before they have a college degree.
I mean, yeah, you could say that for A&M as well. But I mean, yeah, I'll have a Baylor Bear sitting at my Thanksgiving table tomorrow. My uncle's side of the family is all Baylor, and my side of the family is all Longhorns. So that's kind of one of the few. But also, my uncle never really wanted to bring up the rivalry when I was in college either, because Baylor was a little unfortunate for a couple of years there. So going through a hard time.
Yeah, those skeletons in the closet aren't going anywhere anytime soon.
I mean, they're going to a
holiday there.
They're going to a D2 school in Eastern New Mexico. That's where they're going. But anyways,
who
wins the fight between my dad and my uncle, or between?
Yeah, who wins it?
I can't go into why my father will win that fight, because it wouldn't even be close, and it's a little rude. I really don't want him seeing this. Anyways, maybe let's move on to this question from Rocky Poor. Amanda, how do you avoid losing IQ points being around Lucci? This is a great question. Do you have to turn on Bluey between shoots to get work done? No, but we did have a suggestion. I had this after our first show we recorded, that I needed a Billy mic, or a Billy buzzer. So when he was on too long of a tangent, I would strike the buzzer and it would cut his mic on his end. We thought about doing that for a while, because he does very much like to go on his tangents. And then Pablo Picasso followed up with, he discredited all of Texas's ranked wins last year and is crying this year and saying how all of their ranked wins count. Classic Billy moving goalposts. Why do you think I suggested the name of the podcast? Because of this. And this is, I mean, most of the time I'll give Billy, not most of the time, sometimes I'll give Billy the benefit of the doubt, but this is something that he has admitted that he did last year and has now admitted to changing his ways, because I guess it's more beneficial for his A&M argument. Funny how that works. But if you just look up Billy's name combined with schedule on Twitter, you will find about 40 posts of him criticizing Texas's schedule last year and their ranked wins or not ranked wins. And then all of a sudden, magically, Texas A&M's ranked wins against teams like TCU and preseason South Carolina are a big deal this year. So
it's like, hey, yeah, the SEC is tough. Like every weekend's like playing an NFL game. It's a playoff game. Unless it's Texas playing it, then we'll figure out a way to make it irrelevant.
Unless it's Texas winning a close game on the road against Kentucky or Mississippi State. I mean, it's a great comeback in the SEC when it's A&M coming back over South Carolina at home, laying an egg in the first quarter. But, Texas on a road win coming back from a massive deficit against Mississippi State. Terrible win. Awful. They should have lost. So.
A bad South Carolina. Like neither one of those wins or stuff. Like you don't put that on your business card. Like, oh yeah, we rallied from 21 down to you can be happy about it, but don't, just you got your win. Like be satisfied with it.
With that first half of A&M versus South Carolina, I think I called it the worst first half I have ever seen played by a good football team, or what should be a good football team.
Ooh.
Because if you just think about it, like if you've ever seen a series of unfortunate events, that's what this half played out to be, as far as how things, you would think A&M was doing a little bit better getting the ball into the red zone, then Marcel Reed would throw an interception, or they would get to field goal range, doink off the goalpost. It just seemed like every single thing that could go bad happened in that game. So Hopefully Texas can find some of that.
Texas had a couple of those 0-4 and 0-5 against Oklahoma State, where it really, really got away from you. And Oklahoma State wasn't that good at the time, so you're able to come back and win those games. So.
Yeah. It's the worst I've seen this season. Anyways, Tennessee Longhorn, Texas versus NC State basketball. Y'all got any thoughts on this one? Could be. What is NC State ranked? 23?
Back into the top 25. I just think it's interesting that it's two first-year coaches trying to get some stuff established. And I think they would both like to leave Maui with a win over a high major team. So it's going to be competitive. I have no idea what to expect. There's only so much. And by the way, CJ, I eventually passed out before the Chaminade game ended, but I did manage to watch some of it and caught some highlights this morning. I mean, there's only so much you can take from, what Texas did last night against Chaminade. I'll say this for Texas, a lot of the stuff that I want to see or I'd like to see or that could help them win is stuff that has nothing to do with NC State. Like, you got to take better care of the ball. You got to shoot it better from the outside, and you gotta keep your fouls down.
Yeah, I'm with you. They were 1 of 9 from 3 in the first half. I think that's turned that around to be about 8 of 12. So, look, you can't live with both. You got to find the happy medium, but you'd like to see a little bit more consistency to both halves. There is a correlation, I think, to Jordan Pope's distribution and facilitation and your 3-point shooting. Jordan Pope only had 1 assist in the first half, and then you turn around and he had 5 like almost right away in the second half, and you see the ball movement a little bit more. Texas, I think, early on in that game just tried to force the paint far too much, Jeff. At one point, Texas had 42 points on the board. 36 of them came in the paint. 2 were on a shot basically 6 inches outside of the paint, and 4 others came at the line. So you didn't make any outside shots, and that's fine when you're shooting 16 of 20 like you start that second half against Arizona State. But you saw that only feeding the paint is detrimental, because in a game where the 3 is more than 2 and 3s are shot more than 2s are, well, you're going to have to make your fair share of 3-point shots. And right now, that's not what Texas is doing consistently. So that's my big concern. You got to get the outside shot to fall against some of these teams that like to huck and go quick. More possessions or more opportunities for 3-ball shots to go. And, playing quick and being efficient is fantastic. Name of the game. But you got to find some opportunities there for the 3 shots to go.
I think this game will be a lot pace-wise, hopefully with less fouls. It'll be a lot pace-wise like Arizona State. Where
too much to ask for, Jeff. I'm sorry. You're ready for 50 fouls and 60 free throws.
That was brutal, but that game took like 5 hours to finish. But no, Sean Miller and Will Wade, that's 2 coaches that they obviously what we know from Sean Miller so far and Will Wade, they both want to push the pace.
Yeah, and I do want to bring this up. Hey, big win for Vic Schaefer and his squad. I think it's 66-58 or 66-56 or something like that today. Over number 3 UCLA, Texas ranked number 4. They did so without star freshman Aaliyah Crump, also without backup point guard Breonna Preston. So that's a fantastic win for the resume. It's fantastic for the kind of momentum in the locker room going into Thanksgiving, obviously tomorrow. But that was a game, even after getting kind of slapped in the face at one point with a 20-5 run that they allowed, Texas women's coming away with a massive top 5 victory. Also, the 150th win. Thank you, Matthew, for Vic Schaefer. Pretty impressive. Thank you, Kozer. 76-65. It was a 10-point win. I was sleeping.
And your reward for a hard-fought win against a good UCLA team against South Carolina tomorrow night.
Buckle up.
There we go. All right, we'll get to a couple more of your questions after we hear from our friends over at Culligan's. When it comes to the water your family drinks and uses every day, you don't want to cut corners. That's why for over 90 years, people have trusted Culligan. And here in Austin, Culligan Ultra Pure has been serving the community for more than 60 years. Culligan Ultra Pure provides high-quality residential water treatment at an affordable price, including reverse osmosis systems, water softeners, and UV purification lights. Whether your water comes from a well or a municipal source, Culligan has the perfect treatment solution for your home. And right now, you can schedule a free water test and save up to $600 when you mention On Texas Football. Culligan Ultra Pure proudly serves Austin, Corpus Christi, Victoria, Brownwood, Pampa, and Plainview. So don't wait. Call Culligan Ultra Pure today at 512-339-2378 to schedule your free water analysis. That's 512-339-2378, and make sure to ask for Michael. Better water starts with Culligan. And Jeff, can you tell us about our friends at Hayes City Store?
Absolutely. Hayes City Store is one of those places that right when you go to it, the first time you go, it's a special place. Scratch-made Texas comfort food is what they're all about. They got their famous truck stop enchiladas, the award-winning chicken fried steak, homemade desserts. It's all good, and it's all made from scratch. They've got live music 6 nights a week, 50 beer taps, ice-cold long necks, and tasty margaritas. They've got 13 TVs in their ice house. That's a perfect game day setup, whether it's Saturday or Sunday. And if you're out there on Sunday, they've got that Sunday brunch menu available from 10 to 3. Hayes City Store is dog-friendly. They've got a tree net and plenty of space for the kids to run around. So gather up your whole crew. Head on over to Hayes City Store. For more information, check out the website at hayescitystortx.com. Hayes City Store, it's uniquely Texas.
Thank you so much. Got a super chat here got a couple super chats coming in from Rocky Poor first. Texas women need their flowers. They have dominated Texas athletics the past couple of years. They play to the standard way better than the men. Yeah. I mean, women's softball last year, basketball certainly making a name for themselves recently. And I mean, soccer winning the SEC championship last year, not a great season this year, but just hired a new coach. So hopefully to turn that around in the future.
Not to mention volleyball looking to return back to the national scale as well. So, yeah, absolutely. I agree.
Definitely. What is y'all's favorite Texas A&M memory from Kozer 7?
Should we catch the, have a caveat other than Ricky's run in 98?
Please.
So I think that's the easy answer. It's not my favorite. My first one, the first Texas A&M game I really remember watching was 93. Actually, that's a game Texas lost in College Station. Remember Dennis Allen picked off Shea Morenz late in that game to seal a win for the Aggies. 95, Texas going to Kyle Field, ending A&M's home winning streak, winning the last Southwest Conference championship. I think my favorite, though, as random as this is, the 2000 game. It's one that Rod Babers played in. It was Rod's sophomore year. Chris Sims third quarter against Texas A&M that year, maybe the best quarter I've ever seen from a Texas quarterback. Could not miss, throwing bombs, just shredded. It's like the very tail end of the Wrecking Crew era of defense at Texas A&M. I don't even think you could call it the Wrecking Crew at that point. But yeah, other than Ricky's run, I would probably say either 95 or 2000.
I got to go with the Justin Tucker kick.
I mean, same. I feel like people our age, that kind of has to be it.
That has to be the answer. You can go with the Ethan Burr stop or the Michael Taft pick. To me, it has to be, what was shown on highlights for 15 years of our lives while we didn't have the game. So
yeah. Yeah, and I actually had one of my college friends in journalism. Her brother was the holder for that kick.
Oh, that's cool.
A lot of pressure there. Yep, but it's for me. It's the Justin Tucker kick, 100%. I mean, the Ethan Burke stop is ranking up there at this point because that was just an incredible way to restart the rivalry, in my opinion.
I will say this, the Justin Tucker kick, I actually didn't see it live because I was on my way to the radio station. I was doing post-game radio at the time. So I had to listen to basically the end of the game in the car. So I heard Craig Way's call. I had to wait to see it later. And I will say this, kids, make sure you party on Thanksgiving responsibly. The 2008 game, all I remember that was, I enjoyed myself a little too much, celebrated when Sergio Kendall broke Stephen McGee in half, and then there ended up being cream cheese corn in the bush, the shrubs right next to the house when I was done that night. So there you go. That's what I remember from the 2008 game.
Okay. Oh. I mean, hopefully that's not you on 6th Street after Friday, CJ. You're always marching off to 6th Street after the game. So don't celebrate too hard.
It hasn't made me stop eating cream cheese corn, though. That's still a staple for Thanksgiving. So.
I've never heard of cream cheese corn being a staple for Thanksgiving.
It's awesome. I will say it was much better going down and coming back up. That
sounds like my dad with this kind of commentary right now. Anyways, got a super chat from All Right Cube. Letting Vandy and Archie score a bunch of garbage time points may come back to bite us if we're right on the edge. I mean, I think the Florida loss is going to come back to bite you more than garbage time touchdowns against Vandy and Arkansas.
Yeah, I mean, that's
Vandy won more so because you could have actually lost the game. Arkansas, you're not actually losing that game regardless of the garbage time touchdown. Vandy had a shot.
And I don't think the committee is going to look at the Arkansas game and be like, oh, well, Texas didn't control the game. Like, no, like you can tell, like they controlled the game the entire way. Yeah, like that's a bad Florida. Like it's a talented Florida team, but it's a bad Florida team. I don't know. That's one rivalry that I know, like there's some people like, oh, I want to see Oklahoma play Nebraska again. Man, I just want Florida State to matter again. Because growing up, I really liked that game, like Florida State, Miami, Florida State. I love watching those games. And neither one, like they both haven't taken care of their business to where that game means something in a while.
Yeah. I got another super chat here from Torrid717. Am I wrong to think that A&M has not shown DBs that can keep Texas's receivers in check? Who's the best quarterback wide receiver combo that they've faced?
I'm trying to think.
I mean, probably.
Their line's pretty good.
Wide receiver quarterback duo. They haven't played many elite ones. I'm not a Lamar Sellers fan, but that combination of him and Nick Harbor is very dangerous. Obviously, they had some success there as well. Bo Perbula coming off of injury. Garrett Nussmeier has been pretty bad this year.
Notre Dame.
Who else? CJ Carr at the beginning of the year wasn't necessarily the CJ Carr that we're seeing now. Even then, that's more a run game that I fear from Notre Dame. Arkansas,
they don't have an exceptionally strong schedule, so it's hard to say.
Auburn, and Florida probably have the best receivers A&M has faced, but the
problem is when A&M played Auburn at the time, Jeff, they had a quarterback in Jackson Arnold who couldn't get the ball in the same zip code of Cam Coleman, a guy who catches everything. Eric Singleton, a guy who gets the ball and goes. Couldn't get the ball in the same zip code, and that's very difficult to do considering what catch radius both of them possess.
Yeah, and then DJ Lagway just hadn't been other than the Texas game. He just hadn't been on all year. I think this is probably. I would say collectively, it's in terms of quarterback play and wide receiver group. It's probably the best, but individually, Texas doesn't have a guy like Cam Coleman on a roster. Texas doesn't have a guy like Nick Harbor on a roster. That said, though, I do think the A&M secondary just hasn't been tested. And, I know they've got a couple of good corners. Ricks and Lee are solid corners. If Texas ends up winning this game, I think we'll look at we'll be talking afterwards. DeAndre Moore and Emmett Mosley had massive games because I think those are the two guys. CJ, we talked about it. Ryan Wingo at this point, he's like your screen merchant. He's your yak guy. If they're throwing it to Parker Livingston, it's probably something deep down the field. Parker Livingston's not catching a bunch of screens, but DeAndre Moore and Emmett Mosley are the two guys that can work the middle of the field. And Torian York's given up some stuff. He's a really good player, and I like watching him play. But hey, every linebacker is vulnerable in coverage if you scheme it up right. And their safeties really haven't been tested. And Tyreek Chappelle gets picked on a lot in the nickel. DeAndre Moore is in the slot most of the time. So I think if Texas wins the game, it'll be DeAndre Moore and Emmett Mosley had massive nights.
I think that would be huge. I think also, to your point, Jeff, I mentioned after the game against Arkansas, one of the things I was most excited about was the inclusion of DeAndre Moore in pivotal situations, right? The 3 touchdowns, fantastic, but the way in which Arch utilized him and Texas kind of picked on him were in very key situations that we really just haven't seen a lot of. A lot of Arch and what he likes to do is towards the outside, right? Find an Emmett Mosley on the outside, find a Parker Livingstone going deep on the outside, find Ryan Wingo on the outside. That's why you haven't seen a lot of the tight ends over the middle of the field, and that's why you haven't seen a lot of the intermediates, to your point, with Mosley or Moore crossing the field. So that's areas for catch and run opportunities if you can find them, and that has to be a way that Texas tries to exploit some holes in the A&M defense.
Yeah, every time I've talked to Billy about this, he thinks that this game is going to be won or lost at the line of scrimmage. That's just based on how last season looked. But I just feel like both of these teams have different strengths and weaknesses than last season. So, I don't think anybody's predicting a 17-7 score here.
No,
last year, sorry, CJ. Last year was a line of scrimmage game for 2 reasons. One, Colin Klein called a terrible game and kind of forced A&M to try to win it in the phone booth, and they couldn't. They didn't. And, man, Quinn Ewers just couldn't take care of this. This was one of Quinn's worst games as far as turnovers. Had the 2 red zone turnovers. Will Lee had the pick 6. So there's a point. And Sark trusted that run game infinitely more than he trusts this run game. It's look, let the offensive line lean on him. Let Trey Weiser take it home. And they did. What Trey finished with 186 or whatever he ran for last year. I don't remember. It was a lot, but that became a line of scrimmage game. I don't think this is going to be a line of scrimmage game. I really don't, because at this point, what incentive does Sark have to run the football? The run game is what it is. It's not just going to magically get better. if I'm Sark, situationally, there's probably gonna be times where you use 12 personnel, but I run it very, very, very sparingly. If I'm Sark, it's mostly gonna be 11 personnel, maybe even some 10. I'd run more 10 personnel Friday than I do 11 personnel. Try to spread A&M out. Use the advantage you've got with Arch's playmaking ability and your receivers testing their secondary. And then the other side, if I'm A&M, yeah, you want to try to run the football, but dude, this Texas defense has been giving up a ton of chunk yardage plays. Like, I'd see if they can stop it.
Yep. All right, about to wrap up here. Where is the tailgate at? Same place as usual? Tailgate?
Yes,
same
place as usual.
Do you want to give the exact locations of that? Because I don't know how to.
West side of the LBJ, north side of the LBJ lawn.
It should be online somewhere.
It'll be on the OTF website.
Just kind of wander until you see some people you recognize. That's what I do.
We would not be great if we were Lewis and Clark.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure you would find alcohol somewhere if you just wandered around a Texas tailgate. We got a super chat here from Rocking Horror. Aggie calling Texas cowards wasn't smart. Let's go make him tuck his tail out of the stadium. I did think this was interesting because most of that video was just Sark kicking him off the logo. And protect your field for 60 minutes.
That's the whole thing. If you get your kicked for 60 minutes and then want to talk 364 days later, go ahead. It's not going to bear a whole lot of weight for me. But if that's what you need to motivate yourself for a game like this, go on right ahead as well. All I know is Colin Simmons has had, that photo of him shooting the double birds in his locker room, ready to get his get back as well. Because if you remember, they both got some personal fouls toward the end of that game. There were some words said that I'm sure Colin won't ever admit to, but he's had this game circled.
No, yeah. Armaj Reed Adams, he hadn't been too complimentary of Colin Simmons or really Texas this offseason, and that's fine. But, man, I'm with you guys. Look, if A&M dances on the midfield logo Friday night after a win, if you don't want them to dance on the logo, win the game.
Yeah.
Right.
Like, go. That's what – I mean, I haven't taken issue too much with how this team has conducted itself the last couple of years. But, man, just – guys getting chippy after the Georgia game. Like, you had 60 minutes to put up a fight.
Now you want to do it after the game?
Yeah, you want to do it after the game? Like, that doesn't sit well with me. So if A&M had taken care of business last year, Texas wouldn't have had an opportunity to go dance on the logo or whatever. So you shut them. You got 4 quarters to shut somebody up. So
yeah. It was also calling them cowards because they waited until all the Aggies were off the field to do it. Well, they were singing the Eyes of Texas to celebrate the win and then went on to do it. So.
Well, they didn't want to take the chances. Those fake soldiers would draw swords or do some of the idiocy that they normally do. So
the yell leaders surround him, try to cheer him off this field.
There, man, the Corps has done some wild stuff over his tenure, like drawing swords down on SMU. I think I heard something about swords getting drawn after the 95 game at Kyle Field. Like, it's just, you want it's smart to let them clear out.
They carry swords to the game.
I don't know if they do anymore. But
what was Arya Stark's nickname for her needle? They kind of look like that.
Pretty much.
They pull out their needles on Texas dancing on the logo. Now that would be good television.
Well, and I know some A&M fans, look at how many Aggies in World War II, blah, blah, blah. Yeah, okay. Congratulations, you're gonna win halftime on Friday. We at least know you're probably gonna win a halftime. So at least you can feel good about that.
You know what I didn't know that our Army won a national championship after World War II and A&M still couldn't. Is that true, Matthew? I saw a tweet, so
that might be an interesting fact to pull out when they try to tell you all of your wins came after wartime, or all of your wins were during wartime.
Glenn Davis and Doc Blanchard in the 40s, yeah.
I mean,
okay, there's one to add to your register.
It's not like the Army's had 70 decades of off time either.
Well, if I remember right, like during the 40s, like you're at the height of World War II, like a lot of America's best and brightest were going into the military, so you're going to West Point anyway. So Hey, why not field a competitive football team while you're getting ready to go to war?
There you go.
Okay.
All right, guys. Well, fun show today. Hopefully we have a good win on Friday to follow it up and talk about next week. Do y'all got predictions for the weekend?
For this game or for just the weekend in general?
The game, yeah.
Oh, I had A&M winning 38-31. This team is just too inconsistent for me to think, that they'll win. I know that it's not what you want to hear, so I'm sorry. But look, Texas should be the hungrier team in this game. The issue is we've seen opportunities this year where Texas was the hungrier team and it just didn't come to fruition. The Athens game, the game in Gainesville, right? You should have taken care of business. Shoot, Lexington, Starkville, you should have been a hungrier team, and they just weren't. So can they pull a rabbit out of the hat? Yeah, I think so. Absolutely. They're probably one of the more talented teams A&M's faced the entire year. But I just don't know. I can't do it. And Kozer, I won't go to Derby if that's the case.
I'm sure it's happened before.
Yeah. I honestly haven't. I've still got some time to submit my my prediction. I haven't picked a winner yet. I honestly
grilled over the coals, Jeff, and we're just saying, hey, I'll wait till the graphic releases. Come on.
He's got a whole day of turkey eating to sit on it tomorrow.
When I'm in that turkey coma during the Cowboys game, which is a Thanksgiving tradition unlike any other, I'll probably finalize it at that point.
Okay, there you go. I got Texas winning. I don't know about a score. I think mine's around CJ's, but in reverse. We talked about this on Moving Goalposts, like who has more to lose here. I think there's a major pride factor, and like A&M's not really losing anything by losing this game, except for a little bit of pride.
Their season doesn't change at all.
No.
If anything, a loss benefits them.
Yeah, truly.
Part of me wants to pick. I'm leaning Texas, but CJ hit it. Like his team's just good luck figuring out what Texas will play like on Friday.
Just unknowns. All right. Well, thank you guys so much. Good show today. Y'all make sure to tune into Coffee and Football tomorrow morning. But thank you guys so much for joining us for On Texas Football's Wednesday night Longhorn Livestream. I'm Amanda Atwell. That's CJ Vogel and Jeff Howell. Hook 'em horns. Thanks for joining, guys. Good night.
Hook 'em. Happy Thanksgiving.
Thank you, Matthew.